Okay, 3, 2, 1, and we're in. How you doing, Dave?
Good. How you doing, man? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. I love the fact that you and I have been going back and forth on email for like 3, 4 months, and I finally caught you.
No, and I apologize for the scheduling and all the craziness, but yeah,
No, but that's great. It means you're working.
working. Yeah, and we're both working. That's great. We're both busy.
I mean, if you're an entrepreneur and you're doing, and you're in the entertainment world, if you're in, if you have your own business and you're busy working, life is good.
Yes, absolutely. No complaints.
So where'd you fly in from today?
San Francisco.
Okay. And what's it like up there?
The weather is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The weather, I mean, same thing when you arrive in LAX. I really love LA and I love Northern California. I've been all over the United States. I think not everywhere, but as I get older, the weather becomes more of a factor of whether I like it or not. Also, and my buddy thinks I'm very LA, I love the ocean, but never go in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. You're not LA though yet.
Not really.
You live here, but you're not LA.
That's a very good example of who I am and why I'm here.
Yeah. Where were you born?
So I was born in Toronto, Canada. And I had
Toronto.
Yeah. It's nice, right?
Yes, it's great.
And then I got into sports at a young age. My dad was an Olympian, so sports dominated my whole life.
Oh wow.
And I wasn't good enough as skater to play hockey, so I ended up in basketball, which back in the day wasn't very popular, but now it's hugely popular. And I played basketball for the University of Toronto, which was great, but I wasn't good enough to play pro, and I wasn't good enough to play for the national team. So I quit cold turkey, and I moved to China at the age of 22. And I did 18 years in Shanghai.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Well, I just had hard on you. Was he like hardcore?
No, he was hardcore about like giving a good effort and being a good teammate and being a good leader.
But be free to do what you want to do.
Because he was a water polo player. Have you ever seen that shit?
I do jiu-jitsu and I don't want to do that.
It's fucking
I'm terrible in water.
Yeah.
I try to surf and it's just
terrible.
Bad.
Yeah. So he got me into water polo and swimming early. And
that's great.
Yeah.
That's a gritty sport, man. Yeah. Oh my gosh. They try to drown you.
Too rough for me.
Too rough.
Yeah. It was ugly. But then basketball I felt like was really nice. And then I played on the kind of more aggressive physical edge of the basketball world. Yeah.
Good. Because of water polo.
Exactly. Early influences.
That's awesome.
But I never got into like fighting or martial arts or anything like that. And I always wished it was something that maybe I got it. I think I did karate for like a year or two because like all kids under 10 do karate for a bit. Yeah, by law.
In Canada.
That in soccer, right?
In Canada?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, kids,
hockey.
Everyone plays soccer in Canada, but then they just give it up and play hockey or do something else later.
Right.
Yeah.
I had a friend, he's Canadian, Brent Burns.
Okay.
You know who that is?
No.
He played for the Sharks, and then he plays for Raleigh.
Oh, he's still active?
He used to play, yeah. He used to play for Minnesota Wild. That's when I met him.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I met him early in his career, but first time I saw somebody smile and have no teeth, but totally related to hockey. And he's very Canadian. I don't know what that means, but...
Very Canadian, no teeth. Yeah. So look, you are, I mean, how do I even describe who you are? I mean, you're a jiu-jitsu trainer, master, fighter, former fighter, and you've got your own, training center, school, and now you're also in the movies teaching these fucking A-listers how to fight properly? Is that...
choreography.
But
I taught Keanu Reeves, who was better than me at my job, which was crazy. I was brought in to teach him to become John Wick,
mm-hmm.
and he had already done 3 movies.
Well, he'd been around.
He was already, and that's how it was presented to me. And I'm like, well, what am I doing here?
Yeah, for the insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, he was Neo.
Inspired him. Yeah, he was Neo.
Yeah,
I'm teaching Neo how to be John Wick.
Yeah, I mean, he's. I mean, of all the action stars out there who have like done fighting at every single level, even like floating fighting, as he did in Matrix, that was insane. Like, he's probably the most trained actor of all time in fighting.
Choreography, him and Tom Cruise, I would say, just those two are remarkable. Tom Cruise does his own stunts. I think that's where there's a little bit of separation.
Mm-hmm.
But how in depth the fighting that Keanu does for John Wick is incredible, and all the other things he's done, being Neo and Point Break, even there was a little choreography in that too. But
Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
No, I loved the John Wick movies. Everything about it was just so raw and so amazing. And was it Chad, the director? He's also a former stuntman and choreographer as well. Like,
he doubled Keanu Reeves on Matrix.
Yeah. just amazing, his story about how he came up with the idea and how he put it together and how they got, and like the first one barely, got off the ground, and now it's like this huge thing. That's inspiring.
I think that's a lot of people's stories in the industry. That's a tough industry. Whether you're doing stunts, writing, a director, whatever problems you have, it's on the director's table. Like it's your desk. This is your fault, or you better fix it. And you need to generate it, or cultivate a proper team around him. And like I've seen Chad Stahelski work in so many different arenas, training jiu-jitsu with him. I train all the time with him in jiu-jitsu, all the way to him being my boss, doing choreography, all the way to in the office. And the amount of stuff that the director has to do you have to be hardcore to have that job.
It's like 1,000 decisions a day.
All the time. And you're never fully prepared, I would say. And again, I'm not a director, but from what I've seen, but yet your preparation is incredible. Like it's just nonstop, 10 to 12 hours every single day, maybe 14, maybe 15
for 2-3 months.
The amount of stamina that those individuals have is just, I've seen people in fight camps, and a lot of people, especially with UFC, is like big, it's huge. People are just, there's like, these people are amazing. Try being a director. Seriously, try being in Hollywood and directing an action film.
Yeah.
And everything's going to go wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's really remarkable. They did a great Game of Thrones behind the scenes of their last season, season 8, and they spent a whole lot of time working on the fighting choreography and all this stuff. And those guys just put in so much work on that show. It was ridiculous.
And you have hundreds of people in one shot. I feel that's just insane, because trying to motivate those people, because if you get a shot, like a wide shot, and there's one guy that misses his mark, we can't use it. We got to okay, we got to go again.
And you're freezing your ass off in Northern Ireland.
They're pulling that guy or telling him, we're going to pull you if you don't look like you're going to try to knock that guy's head off.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Now seeing it, going through it, it's remarkable.
So where did your journey begin?
My father, that's why I asked you about your father. My father was more on the hardcore side. I started with judo. He was my instructor.
Whereabouts was this?
Bakersfield, California. Yeah.
Okay.
And he just wanted 2 Olympians.
Wow.
And he was hardcore about it. But I look back, you never, when you're young, you never understand adults. I barely
blanket adults.
Yeah, just everyone. It's hard to understand, why am I going through what I'm going through? My dad did such a good job of, I'll be honest, forcing me to do judo, because I tried to quit so many times. He forced me to do it to the point where it became addicting to me. Not discipline, heard this guy. Have you read the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck? Right?
Yeah, we can swear on this.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites. I listen to a lot of people. He's one of my favorites because he's not so much telling me how to be. He's giving me, I would say, getting me to use my brain on what's important in life. I think that's the main thing of the book. And he was talking about the difference between discipline and being addicted to something. And he said there's a difference. And I totally agree. And I think maybe I was disciplined to a degree, even though I was forced. But there was a point when I was about 14, 15 where he didn't have to tell me to, get my gi. I used to hide the gi underneath my bed.
The flips, the switch flipped. Yeah.
And I realized I'm getting a little bit more freedom in life. Maybe I decide to be a normal person. And I'm like, no, it was dread when I actually when I had that conversation with myself. I don't want to be normal. I don't want to do what everyone else around me is doing.
That's why I moved to China.
Yeah, well, there you go. So we were similar in that, who moves to China when they're 22? You don't speak Mandarin, or Cantonese, right?
I didn't know any Mandarin. I didn't have any friends, and I had almost no savings. I just moved to China.
Yeah, but there's some kind of I think that's a personality thing, but you were probably free for your first time in your life.
Yeah. Because
it's a huge decision. It's not like you're going across the street. You're in a foreign land where, my wife's family, we go to Taiwan a lot. We go every year. My wife speaks Mandarin. One of my favorite things to do is once I land is I just walk. Yeah. I did this in Paris. I walk until nobody speaks English, and then until I'm lost, and then I try to sit down and order something.
That was my whole life.
Nothing compared to what your whole life. Right?
Yeah. No, it's funny. For me, for me, I was so immersed with playing basketball from the age of like 6 to the age of 22 that, and you might feel this way as well. Like I felt like I wasn't a very well-rounded human being. I was really good at sports, and I did that 8 hours a day, and then I studied and, weight training and the whole thing. And then when it was taken away and I wasn't able to play at a competitive level anymore, my whole world was gone.
Yeah.
Like depression, fucking imposter syndrome. Who the fuck am I without this sport and without being part of this team, which I no longer can play on, and there's no next team.
Right.
And I was just like, and then around me, there was no role model around me who I was like, that's who I want to be like. Like everyone around me was working 9 to 5. No one owned their own companies. No one was trying to do anything very innovative. They were making good money. They were happy, but it was not for me. So I was just like, I'm going to get on a plane and go someplace totally fucking different and see what the world is like.
But that's an amazing story. Like, again, nobody does that, but you turn that into something amazingly successful. How long were you in China at that time?
So my first trip, I went in 2001 when I graduated. I was 22. Right after 9/11, actually, that was my first trip. I think I flew on like September 22nd or something like that, like 10, 12 days
Cheap
after.
flight, bro.
I went through Taiwan too. But then I did like this 90-day trip all around China by myself. Like I took trains and buses and public transport, hitchhiked a lot. And I had like a little phrase book, like from Lonely Planet. And this was before we had mobile phones and stuff like that. So I was going to like internet cafes once a week. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, like I just loved it because I think we're different versions of ourselves at different times. Like, when you're with your wife or your partner, you're different. When you're with your kids or you're in a work environment, you're different.
Yeah.
For me, when I was traveling, I was humble, curious, energized, learning something new every day. That was the version of myself I liked the best.
That's great.
And then I was just like, okay, well, I'm going to move to China. This is going to be whatever my next step is. So I did that 90-day trip. I went home for like 2 weeks for Christmas, and I told my family I was out and I'm moving to China. And then I just moved. And they were like, well, we'll see you in 6 months. That's not going to work. And then I was 18 years.
18 years, you speak fluent Mandarin?
No, I really struggled with the language, man. Like I got really good, but I wasn't never fluent.
I speak next to nothing, and I've heard it. I've been with my wife for 25 years.
Yeah.
So
it's hard.
My son speaks it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not easy.
I think I'm tone deaf, actually. And I think that the tones of Mandarin and stuff like that are really, because
ma. See, it sounds, it's hard. Yeah, it's tough. It's a beautiful language.
It is. It's really lovely. Like I studied Chinese in a class once with a bunch of musicians. They were like a jazz band from England or something. And they came over to Shanghai. They had a residency in one of the 5-star hotels, and they were learning at the same school I was. So they put me in this group, and these musicians picked up Chinese language, Mandarin, Putonghua, so fast because they could just get all the tones. Like they heard all the differentiations, and I just didn't. And I was like, well, I should.
I still don't. Yeah,
it's hard.
It's tough, man.
So your dad was really hard on you. He wanted 2 Olympians.
Yeah.
So he just pushed you into judo.
Just forced us. I mean, we grew up in the 80s. Like it's a different world.
Totally different.
Like if I try to explain to somebody today, like to somebody who can't figure out how to make a call on a landline, you know what I mean? Like it's just a whole. I'm at that age now where I'm starting to be like, wow, it's another world. I mean, nobody drives stick shifts anymore. Yeah. Everything's automatic.
Parents let their kids do whatever the hell they want.
I was 15 driving by myself, like in the back pasture. You know what I mean? And that's nothing compared to like probably kids in Montana at 15 in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was hardcore. Like, and all my summers were spent in Japan.
Wow.
Like I just lived in Japan. Like, I remember.
So hold on. Like you have a dad. He loves judo.
He loves judo.
And then
black belt.
Yeah. And then he's like
judo club, South Valley Judo Club in Bakersfield, California. Me and my brother grew up as students. He had a bunch of kids. He had champions. That's what I grew up around, like constant competition. We were competing 3 weekends because we lived in Bakersfield. We just drive to LA.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, there was tournaments every single weekend. It's like today, it's replaced. Jiu-Jitsu is what judo used to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's amazing, though. And then he had the foresight to send you to Japan to get better?
Absolutely, because you outgrow everything. So I outgrew Bakersfield, went to Fresno, outgrew Fresno State, went to San Jose State. In my opinion, I outgrew that and went to jiu-jitsu and started training at AK, and then started training military, and then started doing movies, and now training with Mark and other clients. So that basically is my career now. I felt like because it was so hard in the beginning, like it just, if I can survive that, I can do almost anything. And yet every challenge I had after that seemed at least as hard or more difficult. Like John Wick was the most grueling 14 months of my life. It's not even close.
And this was John Wick Chapter 4.
Chapter 4. Yeah. So I moved to LA. I literally was 14 months, 12-hour days, 6 days a week for 14 months. Like I moved to LA, trained at the Stunt Gym 87, 11. 6 months later, we leave. We're continuing training Keanu Reeves for 6 months. We start shooting the film, and it's brutal.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
And we're shooting nights. So like anytime I'm on set, it's nighttime because John Wick only kills people at night. And so like, and then they're wetting it down because it reflects light, DP. It's a beautiful shot. And then he's out doing his thing, killing people. It's just it's just amazing.
Yeah. I think they really went all out on that film.
Yeah, it's like an anime movie now.
Did you choreograph every fight scene in there?
No. So he's actually, I would say technically he's the fight coordinator, is Jeremy Marinas.
Mm-hmm.
He's 8711. He was my boss on the film. Amazing. The guy, literally, you throw a weapon at him, he can flip it around, and he can jump in the air, does tricks, and one of the most talented human beings you'll ever meet. So he's my fight coordinator. What a fight coordinator's job is basically managing the choreography.
Mm-hmm.
So basically he's the main guy. He put the main sequences together. But then Chad will come over and say, this is what I want. He makes it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then we are soldiers kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. But
prior to that, we did a curriculum, and I was a large part of that. Chad liked my style of throws. My throws were very Aikido-esque, which means they weren't so load-bearing. So in the first John Wick, you'll see Keanu it's load-bearing, basically carrying people's weight when he throws them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was his style. And then as he ages,
it gets a little tougher.
It also higher risk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if he slips because it's wet? You know what I mean? Like, he had special shoes. Like, we had techniques to avoid slippage to protect his knees as he's doing judo. So everything had to, we're looking for self-preservation. We lose him, we're in big trouble.
Yeah.
He didn't get hurt. There were some close calls, but it's life, right? He's amazing. He's an amazing professional, but you're petting the cobra the whole time. You know what I mean? So my style was very Aikido. I mean, it's not load-bearing. You're basically directing the stunt performer over you,
mm-hmm.
and they're making the actor, what we call the A side, look good. You know what I mean? Yeah, and we just trained him to throw harder and faster than he's ever thrown in his life, and I think we did a good job. But that's a collective effort. But to say, I was a part of the choreography, absolutely. Put together these threads, which are sequences, block, strike, throw, finish, right? Well, what they would do is come in and add the finish, which is a gun or whatever it is. So then I had to start learning that. Remember, I was playing catch-up. It's my first movie ever. I was only supposed to train Keanu and then leave once we started filming. Nobody told me I was going to be a stuntman.
Oh, you were actually a stuntman in the movie too?
Yeah, I died 13 times. I was in the whole run. I finished it. And our last week was Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
We stayed in Aqaba, which is amazing, but I hadn't seen Lawrence of Arabia yet. It's even more amazing now after seeing that movie. But
that was filmed in the Wadi Rum, right? That scene where they're in Jordan, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah. I filmed there once.
The beginning of the movie? Are you talking about Wick 4 or?
Wick 4, the beginning of the movie where he shoots the guy in the desert.
We filmed that last, and that was the beginning. Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant.
So I was there. I was actually on set that day when the sun was coming up with Chad and a small little splinter cell, small group. And we were doing a wrap party the night. We're done, right? I leave the next day. We're doing a wrap party. And I'm starting to leave the wrap party early. Everyone's there. And some of the people came out, they're like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to get some sleep. Why? This is the wrap party. This is it. I'm like, I'm waking up with Chad to go see the sunset in 2 hours. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, poor Dave. This is his first show. Let him be silly, I guess.
Yeah.
But it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing watching that.
The movie world is so strange to people who are not in it, right? Like, how long do these guys train? How long do they fight? How good are they really? I've seen these videos of Keanu, just because, you worked with him, and this is where, like, I've seen videos of him, like, on YouTube at the gun range, like, just fucking John Wicking the shit out of the gun range. And it's epic. I mean, he really does do all his own, like, he really does do all his training.
Yeah, we went to Terrans with him a little bit. He was good by the time 4 came around. He was well trained by Terran Tactical. But to see him shoot and be there next to him and shoot back and forth with him was amazing, because I've been shooting since I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 things I grew up doing with my dad, was hunting and throwing people on their heads, like judo, right? And we're in Bakersfield, so we used to duck hunt in Rosedale, if you know Bakersfield.
Yeah. I don't.
There's homes everywhere, but
right.
Anyway, everyone has that kind of story. But so I grew up shooting, which also helped me on the movie, because I became a shooting instructor for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Just holding, like, we had a bunch of Japanese stuntmen don't have access to guns, so we're helping them through that. Just how the way they hold it, so it looks good even on a wide shot when they're running in to try to whatever.
Yeah.
In the background. So
that's wild. Like, to be 14 months on that project, I mean, it takes over your entire life. I mean, how do you even plan for the next job after going 12 hours a day, 6 days a week for 14 months?
Well, you talk about, like, being depressed after, like, what were you saying? You're saying you're depressed after leaving
my basketball career.
Okay. Similar situation. And so, again, we're in Jordan, we're wrapping things up. And people are like, you're going to get depressed. I go, what are you talking about? You're either going to get depressed or sick or both. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, this is a long run, not just a long run. Like, most people in stunts, from what I have gathered, I'm still kind of new, even though they say you age 10 years if you go to on John Wick movie or work for Chad, right? It just means how grueling it is. You're learning in a month what you would probably learn in a normal career in a year. And that's just explained to me. I'm not saying that's true. But we did so much on that movie. You come out of it, especially in my case, finally coming home after 14 months. I hadn't seen my son. You go into a funk, and it lasted me a while.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're not getting call sheets. Nobody is texting you. You don't have to hit your mark. Nobody's watching you perform. There's no actors. Keanu's, you built this relationship with the actor. Like, he's off doing this, you're off doing that. It's a weird place to be, especially for me, because I didn't have a job. And it was the first time since I was 15. I'm like, I don't have a job.
Yeah.
Like,
that's wild.
So there's multiple, like, feelings I had. Messed me up.
I found, so, like, I never did anything for 14 months, but I would go off and do these 2-month motorcycle trips. So I did China, I did India, I did Brazil. And my mountain climbing and desert stuff were always, like, shorter. It was only like 10 or 2 weeks, so it wasn't a big deal. But, like, you go out for 60 days, and I loved it because I produce and I direct and I host as well. And I loved just being useful every day.
Right.
Like, the performance element was great. The problem solving element was great. Every day getting through what we needed to get through, carrying the team along on the journey. Like, you just feel so important to every aspect of production. And then when it's done, you're super proud that you did it. But then life becomes so empty so fast.
Immediate. Like, I took a picture, I took a selfie, and I'm on the plane home.
Yeah.
And I look back at that picture, I'm like, I'm exhausted. And I don't know if I'm happy, depressed, like, it's somewhere with both feelings at once. And it's like, what do I do now? And then I'm like, I'm happy to see my family, but I don't know if they're going to be happy to see me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're weird. You're a zombie took me a while. It took me a bit.
Yeah. It took weeks or months.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, I had a partner, I was married for a long time, and I would come back from these trips and I was not normal for weeks.
Yeah.
And, eventually people get tired of it. Like,
Absolutely.
it's you don't come back ready to jump into civilization, because what you're doing on production makes no sense in the civilized world.
Yeah.
And those are where all your skills are. That's where all your energy is. You're getting all the endorphins. You're getting pumped up every day to fight and do all these things. And then you come back and it's like, okay, let's go grocery shopping. You're like, fuck that.
and then I'm in line waiting for my coffee with somebody who doesn't care about giving me my coffee. Like everyone is in slow motion because on set we're moving 100 miles an hour. Like the pace that Chad sets is just, it's 100 miles an hour. And he's really good at making everyone fast because he needs to get his shots. Like he needs to make his day. And like, you get back and it's like everyone's in slow motion. And it's nothing against them. It's like that world, the Hollywood world, is not, that's like fantasy. Most people don't move that fast. The only thing I can relate it to, and again, I work with military special operations, done that for quite a bit. When they talk about deployments and coming back from deployments, it's a very similar, and obviously their situation is much more like life and death. We're hitting the concrete. I mean, you can die doing stunts, but they have that same, like, how do I relate to this slow world?
What's it like working with the U.S. military?
It's great.
Are you training them how to fight or how to survive, or what's the catch?
So I do a number of things. I early on in my career I was embedded, so I like a SWAT team, how they have tactics to make entry. Well, it's similar to that. So I've learned how to run a gun, like a proper gun, like a M4. I don't know if you ever shot any guns, but I've learned how to run that. I've learned transitions, and I've learned you have your primary, secondary, tertiary transitions. So blade is your tertiary. But I've learned that world. I've learned what each weapon system is all about. Not all about, but I've learned enough to help others that are in that space. We call it combatives, but I don't know if I'm teaching them how to fight. It's like I'm supporting their ability to fight because they already know how to fight, especially with their weapon systems. I'm just trying to like open their mind, increase their transitional ability. And then I also supply role players. So we do, keep it brief, but like we get role players, stunt guys are the best. And
fresh meat?
Yeah, right. Oh, I don't know if you want that.
No, I don't.
I don't know if you want that smoke. So I've been role playing for them for a long time. So I have a lot of experience in this world. And you do everything from shooting back at them to just playing a role, acting. We act. And I think that helped me with stunts because stunts is very similar. We call combatives or role playing improvised stunts. It's not choreography. We're not going A, B, C, but there's an idea, a scenario, and we supply reality as close to reality as possible. So yeah, I teach them how to fight. I teach them how to transition. I understand their world enough to basically present problems that they have to solve.
Like if there's a kidnap victim and you got to kick in the door and shoot a bunch of people, yeah,
like that, yeah. And I'll play all sides of that and just really try to understand their world.
That's amazing. That's quite cool.
Fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
Any accidents?
I've been shot. I don't know how many times.
Just been shot a couple times.
Yeah, I mean that's a scar right there. That's probably never gonna heal.
Oh, yeah. That's a bullet that went into your arm.
Oh, that's it's a sim round.
Oh my!
Simulation. It's simulation. So like you can get shot, you're not gonna get killed. I mean, you don't want to get shot in the eye with it. So we wear helmets, but I tend to go slick. Like I just wear almost nothing. I've done it for so long, and then I'll be in like a debrief and I'm bleeding through my shirt. It's ridiculous. I'm such a caveman, but I'm from Bakersfield, so it's starting to make sense. I don't know.
Starting to make sense.
Bakersfield.
I've driven through it.
That would have been a better joke if you had been there. Okay, you've driven through it. Yes. Yeah. My brother lives there. He's got a really cool academy there. He was my best training partner. I don't know if you had a brother or sister that pushed you or was older than you, which is terrible.
No, I'm the oldest.
Okay, so you just beat them up.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then just fucked off to China.
I'm the younger. My brother was 4 years older and basically no chance. You know, he's still good.
So what was it like growing up in Bakersfield, going to all these tournaments in bigger venues and then winning them and then being like, okay, now what? And then your dad sends you to Japan to train with like the OGs of jiu-jitsu.
Judo.
Oh, sorry, judo.
I would get destroyed in Japan.
Yeah.
That's where I got tough. I mean, my brother helped make me tough. He would beat me up a bit. But Japan is where because I was young, maybe John Wick was worse because I'm in the concrete every night. Like, Japan was like, I was just getting destroyed. Like, the women's team were destroying me.
What's the difference of learning judo in the United States versus learning it in Japan? Like, what's the skill level difference, and what's the
skill level's night and day? Like, it's a much higher skill level, but also it's the volume. Like, we have world champions all around us. I trained at Scuba University years back. I mean, I've trained many places in Japan, but there'd be like a world champion, a gold medalist. You know what I mean? Like, they'd walk in and they're just part of the team.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you would just, like, the fifth stringer would destroy me back then when I was like 17.
That's such a great learning experience, though.
But I keep coming back.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the training camps, it was a 5-day training camp, and we had 4 sessions a day. On top of me not speaking Japanese, not being able to do laundry, because they would stack up the gis every day, and mine would never get. I didn't understand the system, so I just stunk the entire camp. We do 7 to 7:30 running, then we'd eat, and eating is basically I wanted to be training like Kohai, which is the Kohai Senpai system. Do you know?
I don't know.
Senpai is just upperclassmen. Kohai is lowerclassmen. But back then it was like hardcore. When you're a lowerclassman, you know it all the time.
Yeah.
You're fighting for your job all the time. I want to be treated like lowerclassmen because I want the full experience. And so we would set all the placemats for the breakfast. We'd put everything down. So we would eat last. Senpais eat first.
Mm-hmm.
We would eat last. By the time we'd eat, it was just rice, just scraps. There's no eggs left, whatever. And then 10 to 12 would be newaza, groundwork, for 2 hours. We'd take a break. Like 3 to 5 would be tachiwaza, or randori, which is sparring. So we're just getting thrown over and over again. Then we come back 8 to 9 o'clock and do uchikomi, which is repetition, fitting in, where you're doing a fraction of the throw over and over again. 4 practices a day. I remember having no skin on my elbows because we do these crawls and it would just rip off and it would never heal.
Yeah.
And just getting absolutely destroyed every day.
And loving it.
Like love hating. You know what I mean? Like, at 45 years old, I became a stuntman. That doesn't make sense for somebody who hasn't gone through probably some life-changing mental illness.
Yeah. Did you have a midlife crisis?
No, I just kept showing up. I'm like, oh, I get to train Keanu, great. Next thing you know, he's like, you better work your falls. I'm like, okay.
For
and then I'm doing
months.
And then I'm doing a stair fall down in Paris.
Were you the guy that got thrown down the fucking stairs again and again and again?
I did one stair fall. It was 9 times because 2 takes, 6 one, 3 the other. The famous one who won an award is Vincent Bouillon. He's the double. He's a Frenchman, the best stunt guy on the show. He doubled him and oh my gosh, I'm
blanking,
but that's okay.
It'll come back to you.
He was best stunt guy on the show. He doubled Keanu. When we first got him, we were like, oh my gosh, he was a little shy. We're like, I remember day 1, he's in my class. I train Keanu. I'm trying to help him on the side. I've been with Keanu. I'm trying to get him. You have to walk like Keanu. You have to look like him. And he's a 28-year-old stunt guy who needs to be older. You know what I mean? But he's the one that won an award. He did the Sacre-Cœur, which is the Sacred Heart Church. If you're on the church, you can see all of Paris. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's amazing. But you have these long, I don't know how many steps, but they're long. And then you have a flat part and then stairs, and it goes all the way up. He did 4 of those.
Yeah.
Which means on the flat surface, he has to fake it and throw himself more.
Yeah.
While hitting his mark in between a railing or going off of into the dirt. 3 takes. First time he went all the way through, the camera didn't track. So he did the whole thing. Second take, he hit his head right away, had to stop.
Jesus.
On the railing.
Yeah.
Third take, perfect. Everyone cheered. And we knew that I think that's the longest stair fall ever.
It was obscene in the movie, just how many times that guy rolled.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one for you. Ryan Gosling comes out with this movie Fall Guy, right, with Emily Blunt. Like, and it's all about the action guys doing all the stunts in the movies. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I should have.
Are you in it?
I haven't seen it. No.
Because I'm wondering if that's really what it's like out there. Like, because
Give me an example.
well, I mean, just stunt guys talking shit with the director in between cuts, right? And stunt guys talking shit with each other and messing around in between.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Yes. Depends.
Yeah.
No. We have so much respect for Chad Stahelski. We're fighting him in the mornings. I mean, when we start on set, jiu-jitsu stops. We lift, and I get cardio in twice a week because your workload just goes way up.
Mm-hmm.
When we're in prep, we're all training 3 to 4 times a week or every day. And I would do jiu-jitsu with him in the mornings. He loves jiu-jitsu. He's black belt. He's no joke.
Mm-hmm.
Leg locker.
I don't even know what that means.
He leg locks people. So you can attack the arms.
Yeah.
He attacks the legs.
Okay.
And
he's a black belt in that.
He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, yeah.
And a film director.
And a director, and like black belt in multiple things. He basically created the John Wick style with Aikido, taught me Aikido so I can train Keanu.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
did he come up with this gung fu, like where he's using the gun to like?
There's others that do it. He just makes it. He just integrates it.
Yeah.
So he'll see it. We'll all study it. We'll integrate it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll come up to me and go, I want Keanu to do a Imanari roll. An Imanari roll. So Imanari is a Japanese fighter who's famous for flipping between his shoulders, doing a flip, a 360, and then leg reaping into a heel hook, which will break your knee.
Okay.
He's famous for this. He's like world champion MMA fighter. He's like, I want Keanu Reeves to do an Imanari roll. I'm like, okay, this is a project. Because I had to learn it first.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a great Imanari guy. So that's what Chad does. But we have, going back to your fault, there's no talking like that to Chad. And we have so much respect for him. And since he's a stunt guy, we train with him in the mornings. He doubled Keanu. He's done car hits. He's done all the things that we're doing. And he's our director. So, like, there's a camaraderie. Not a camaraderie. It's like he's God on set for us.
Yeah. I think every
he
film
does it. Yeah. That's it.
Every film director has to be like that. I think they have to have that presence. Yeah.
That's what people see. You understand film.
Mm.
People are like, oh, I don't like Hollywood people or this and that. I'm like, look, we have to get our shot. We have to do our best to make our day. We're probably not going to make our day. We got to get really close.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got to go in directions, whatever the director is feeling at that moment, because he sees something we don't. We are so close to it. He's got that wide shot. You know what I mean? And so there's no time. Like, you will not work in the business unless you understand that basically it's a totalitarian relationship, and it needs to be, and it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it.
It's the only way to get shit done.
It's the only way. Like, we're in Jordan. Like, here's an example. We're in Jordan, and it's the end of the shoot. People are starting to slow down, and we'll just say Chad reminds them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because why? We're losing the sun.
Yeah.
So the shadows change, which means we have to have a budget to get rid of those shadows if we're using that shot in post.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, that costs money.
Yeah. Every second is money.
Everything costs money. And I think we're so appreciative because we understand it. We're lucky to be here. And I think I think that's what he did a good job of, was creating a team that, like, we understand. We're all lucky to be here. We're gonna wreck hard for you. You know what I mean?
I think that's so important. It's like having people that want to fight with you and for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Chad's the best. I mean, I can't imagine being that motivated, at least from my background as a martial artist, with any other director. Like, I'll be great because I have that work ethic, but to do another Chad show is like, that's where the depression came in. It's like, I don't get to see Chad every day anymore.
Do you think it's do you think it's because he was a former stuntman himself? Like, there's a camaraderie there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But also, like, he's leg locking you. Like, he doesn't just live in the world of choreography. He lives in the world of real sparring arts. Like, and he could kickbox.
Mm-hmm.
First time he recruited me, I have so much experience in MMA, so I can fight with my hands, kicking, everything. And so he was like vetting me, testing me. So we would do 2 days a week kickboxing, and he was like throwing high kicks. I'm like, this guy can do MMA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's not just, I have respect for him because he's a former stuntman. It goes way beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
This guy can fight
if
he has to.
I think,
but he will never have to because he has soldiers there. You know what I mean? Like, we're all soldiers.
but I think that discipline really carries over, right? Like into the filmmaking too, because you have to be so disciplined if
Just
you're
our addictions, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so you're training in Japan. You're getting your ass kicked all the time. Your words, not mine. And then what's it like then coming back to the United States after those trips?
I was a monster. Like you really level up,
Mm-hmm.
and it's because your surroundings. I mean, people talk about like where are you going in life, or like friend Tim Ferriss who was talking about this. You know, and a lot of people talk about this, but basically you are who you're surrounding yourself with.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I just surrounded myself with monsters. You know what I mean? Like, so I in my career, I need to continue to surround myself with monsters. Whether it's monsters on the mat, in business, in special operations, in film, because it's so inspiring for me. So yeah, I'm getting destroyed, but by the time I come home, I'm just leveled up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these guys are much easier than I thought. So it definitely helped my career.
And after those trips to Japan, like obviously you probably finished your studies, or did you even go like to university?
So that's a funny story. I was 8 units, so I think it was 8 to 10 units away from graduating, and I couldn't find a parking spot one day, and I quit.
I totally understand that.
I tell that to people. Some people understand, but some people are like, "Are you crazy? Like, you know, why didn't you just finish?" I'm like, "I'm done."
Yeah, that's when it hits you.
Literally, my career took off after that. I went to AKA, multiple world champion titles. We got a UFC heavyweight champion in the corner, and then I created my own Guerrilla Jiu-Jitsu academies, and then like it's just so like I got enough out of school, but like I don't need that diploma. I'm fine without it.
I think going to school and higher education specifically, if you're not going to be like a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, where you actually need to like learn some stuff, I think it's just there long enough for you to figure out you don't need it, and then you can walk away.
I think it's good to have social interaction, people agreeing and disagreeing with each other, people, you know what I mean? Like, again, I don't know what they're doing today. The world's so different today. I think there's some good aspects to it.
Maybe.
I don't want to be programmed to be, again, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I learn more just reading on my own.
Yeah. Or traveling.
Yeah, traveling. I've traveled, like you, we've traveled the world, and it's like, have a conversation. Have you seen that movie Shaun of the Dead?
Oh yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. So I went to that pub.
Oh, did you?
It's called they called it the Winchester, but it's not called the Winchester.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm in a taxi in England at some UFC years ago, and I'm like, same situation. I'm like, I don't want to be around Americans.
Yeah.
I'm in England. So I'm like, hey, have you seen this movie? Yeah, oh yeah. And then he gave me the address where that pub is, the actual pub. So I go there, and I'm like, it looks a little different. Then I walk in, I'm like, oh, here it is. That's where the guy's head came off. And I'm having a conversation with a guy from, Welsh guy?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? From Wales?
Welsh.
Yeah. And he's talking about how he's part of a workforce that comes out there. We're having a pint. I mean, that kind of conversation versus being around a bunch of Americans in England makes no sense to me. Like all the trendy spots. I mean, those are cool too, but like same thing in Japan. I'm not going to go to Roppongi. I'm going to go everywhere else and get lost in Japan, you know, Taiwan.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is just be by myself, not have my wife there to bail me out because she speaks Mandarin. You know what I mean? Like, anyway.
No, those are the best moments. I mean, that's how we all romanticize this travel, right? Like it's just being alone, being with locals, learning different culture. I mean, you know, in a lot of ways that exemplifies everything like Anthony Bourdain stood for, right? He's one of my absolute heroes. And he was just kind of like, you know, walk until you don't see anything familiar and then sit down and have a meal with someone.
It's exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean, when I read that, I'm like, that's me.
Yeah.
That's who that's me. I want unfamiliar. I want maybe by myself, have a beer or two, talk to somebody you've never talked to that you never thought you would talk to, pick their brain. I love that.
Yeah. That's the only way to learn something new.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you read it, you'll never
yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah. You got to really feel you got to really feel your environment.
And also, I was telling this to somebody, you know, one of our guys, MMA guy, I was telling him, I'm like, hey, I think what would be good for you is do a month somewhere else, right? Go in a camp, be surrounded by nobody you know, like you don't know anybody. But the trick for me, I did this in Japan. I did this with stunts. I did this with every culture that I've gone into. Special operations is like, do what they tell you and just understand their culture. Like I said, I want to be kohai. I don't want to be senpai.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, when I went to stunts, I wasn't a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I was just Dave. I just treat me like a brand new stunt guy, which is exactly what they did. Which is good for my ego. Because a lot of times people bow to me. I'm the head sensei. In stunts, I was nothing. Yes, once Keanu's training starts for that day and I'm the instructor, everyone do what Dave says. The second that ends, I'm getting on camera. I have these responsibilities. I'm running around. It's like, immerse yourself, but there's a way to immerse yourself. Literally just shut up and do everything they tell you to do and grind it out and earn their respect the right way. There's no other way to earn someone's respect. And there's no other way to come out of that and level up like I did in Japan and all these other places.
Yeah. Grinding is really the big part of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shut up and just grind.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up and man, don't be late.
Don't be late.
Like,
don't complain.
I was the first guy on set.
Yeah.
And when they wrap you, they wrap you. You know, what are you going to do? But I'm going to be the first, because every day was exciting.
Yeah.
Japan, every day is like, here we go. How many ways are you going to get destroyed today?
It's such a rush, isn't it?
It's just, you can't explain it.
It's a drug.
It's absolutely a drug.
Yeah.
And I think I got one more in me where I can hit the concrete. One more. It's not healthy. By the way, it's not healthy being a stuntman.
No. I don't think I could cut it.
Well, you got to be crazy.
Yeah. Well, you're
crazy. You got some crazy in you.
I got some crazy in me, but not on the physical level. I think hitting. I mean, I love rock climbing. I love ice climbing.
See, no, I'm out.
Really?
No. I love surfing and hate it because there's sharks.
Yeah, that freaks me out too.
Rock climbing seems amazing, strong. You get grips, blah blah blah, but yet you're leaving the ground. I'm
vertigo.
Not vertigo, just fear.
So during COVID, I lived in Switzerland for a couple of years, off and on, like in the summers mostly, and then I was in Dubai, just because I don't know, I kind of got stuck during COVID in a vacuum of not knowing where to go, and there was no work. So I was in Switzerland. I would go there for all summer and just rock climb every day, and it was just bliss, and no one around, just you and nature.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
but you know what you're doing.
I know what I'm doing, but I always go with a guide because you shouldn't climb by yourself. But it's my happy place. It's my peaceful place, and I loved it. So I would just go. There's this one big mountain like in the village, above the village, and I would just climb it like 3-4 days a week with my guide Yves, and he was the best. And every time, there's never a bad day.
That's one of the key to life, I think.
Yeah.
Do something for the rest of your life that there's never a bad day. Like jiu-jitsu for me, it's rarely a bad day. Like there's certain circumstances that I need to get my fix, but I'm good at controlling those. If I have that, it's never a bad day.
So when you came back from Japan, you said you started with AKA. What's AKA?
American Kickboxing Academy. It's it's like the top 3 gyms in the world for MMA.
And is it here in LA?
It's in San Jose.
Okay. So quite close.
I was there 8 years.
Oh, wow. And do you train there and then compete from there?
I didn't compete. I was a coach.
Oh, coach.
I was the head grappling coach for 8 years.
Fuck. And were you training like professional fighters?
Yeah, like top guys in the world. We won the heavyweight title with Cain Velazquez. He beat Brock Lesnar. You know Brock Lesnar, the big...
I know Conor McGregor.
Yeah. Okay, you're not a fight fan. Because everybody knows Conor McGregor.
He's got a Netflix documentary. I consume a lot of entertainment.
Great. No, that's great.
Yeah.
He's a character.
Yeah. But I've never really gotten into fighting or really understood it to that level. But so you're at the AKA and you're training all these winning fighters, and then you're able to use that reputation as a elite coach to then set up your own gym?
Yeah, I think that was in my career. That was the first kind of big push because I became a world champion trainer. And then I mean, there's respect to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a story of one of our guys years ago. He had a resume and he's in an interview and he has all these qualifications. And the guy goes, "Oh, you do jiu-jitsu." And that was the whole interview. And he hired him because he does jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like humans, all of us need a fight in our life.
Yeah.
Like, you can call it a physical fight, but it could be anything. Your career could be your fight. You're fighting to get up. You're fighting to do all these things. And I think when someone sees that you actually fight, like fight, literally, there's an immediate respect for it.
Yeah.
Then it's like, well, what kind of person are you? Are you going to show up early and all these other things? But it's like that becomes, for a lot of people, the center of, at least it becomes desirable to seek further information. Who is this person? You know what I mean? They're a fighter. Oh, I want to know more about them.
It's an interesting entry point into like someone's character and personality.
Yeah. So yeah, that catapulted me with everything I've ever done. So basically I went from there doing my own gyms, and then I started training. I mean, I was already training military. As a matter of fact, I got contacted by the military because they saw me on TV winning a title.
Wow.
So
Nice.
it's like they respected that level of discipline and obviously experience,
Mm-hmm.
and they want that for their guys, you know.
Who are incredibly disciplined as well.
They're like Olympians,
Yeah.
you know. They're like Olympians with guns. It's incredible. And they have to be.
So how many of your own schools did you have? The Guerrilla Jiu-Jitsu?
Nothing crazy. Gosh, I don't even know. That's my wife's my manager. That's my wife's business. But we don't have a ton.
Mm-hmm.
We are very particular who we work with. I actually like to only home grow my instructors. It's a trust thing for me. But we do a very like professionally run, family-based martial arts academy. That's what Guerrilla Jiu-Jitsu is. My main one was in Pleasanton. And the reason why I actually went to Stunts is because I had that for 14 years, and COVID, we tried to hold on to it. COVID destroyed it.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the story. We were trying to do social distancing inside, social bubbles, they called it. We did Zoom.
Yeah.
Went back into the academy, went back to Zoom. We were like everyone else, jumping on one foot on a wet surface, slipping all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy. And we actually had to give it up. Like, we couldn't maintain that.
Yeah.
Our landlord, some are very cool, and some didn't care. And I'm like, okay, well, this is destroying us. We're done. And then 2 months or a month later, I got a job on John Wick.
Oh my
So it's like, it's crazy. Like, a lot of people really, really struggled.
Mm-hmm.
My career kind of,
it took off, right?
it's like,
Yeah.
but I had all these things in the oven, you know, these relationships, I think. But Chad hired me, you know what I mean? So like, I don't feel forever in his debt kind of thing.
Well, that's amazing. Like I got caught in Ethiopia when the world closed. I was filming in Ethiopia in the Simien Mountains in northern Ethiopia on the border with South Sudan. I was filming Extreme Trek season 4 for BBC Earth.
Oh my God.
And the thing is like I was hanging out in Dubai, where I was living at the time, off and on. And Dubai is a great place if you've got to like travel 300 days a year filming on all the continents. They've got the best air network with Emirates.
Oh, great.
Not a sponsor, but maybe someday. But it was great. So all this shit was happening, and in March 2020, I'm just like, fuck it. I'm tired of listening to the news. I'm tired of hearing this shit. I'm just gonna go to Africa, because whatever happens, Africa's gonna stay open. Because people in Africa, they get their shit done. They don't fucking follow, you know, this bullshit of Western democracies taking care of everyone. Like, they just wake up every day and do their thing, right? And I love that. So I was just like, I'm just going to go to Africa with my guys and my crew, my film crew, and we're just going to film as many episodes as we can in Africa, because I get paid for every episode I deliver, and I'm sitting around doing nothing, right? So we go to Africa. After that, we were going to go to, we went to Ethiopia. After that, we were going to go to Kenya. After that, we were going to go to Namibia. So we had like 2-3 months.
Everywhere.
Yeah. But then, you know, halfway through our filming in Ethiopia, Dubai closed their borders. They closed all the air traffic. I had to cancel.
You shut production down?
Yeah, I did, for the first time ever. It was the first time we've ever not completed a journey or a climb or a trek or anything.
And how far were you in it?
About halfway.
Oh, that's terrible.
Well, we just didn't know. So what happened was, this is a very funny story. Like, the Simien Mountains are great. You're in these valleys and you're surrounded by these gorgeous mountains. And then every 2-3 days, you kind of come up over a high pass, and then you can check your phone because you got a signal. and I didn't have a sat phone at that stage. So we get up to the top, and our guide is like making some tea. He's got a little burner, and he's like, "Sit down, guys. We'll take 10 minutes here. Check your phones. We've got a signal here." And this was like, and then like my phone just blew up. It's like I hadn't been online for 2 or 3 days, and it's just like the world's closed, the world's closed, the world's closed. And we're just sitting there, drinking tea, being like, I don't want to get stuck in Ethiopia for 1 month, 6 months, 1 year. And I'm like, what's going on? So, and then Dubai closed their borders, which was very fucked up. So I was a green card holder for Dubai, which is like a residence visa. I was a business owner, and I owned property there, and I wasn't able to go back to Dubai. So I was literally, we from that mountain point where we were checking our phones, we hiked about 8 hours straight to the nearest road, got a driver to pick us up there. We drove all the way straight back to Addis Ababa. The whole time it's just country after country is just closing their borders.
Crazy.
And we got to the airport in Addis Ababa, and we hadn't booked any tickets because we didn't know where we could go. And it was just like, and it seemed like Africa was closing their borders as well, and Ethiopia was going to close the airport. And my guys were just like, we're going home. So they just flew back to Canada and like crashed in their parents' basements for a year. And I was looking around. I was trying to set up a deal to do some filming in Saudi Arabia, and it was big money. So I was like, I got to stay in the same time zone pretty much to push this through, naively, because obviously that all fell apart. But I ended up going to Istanbul, and then I got into Istanbul like March 19th at 7 a.m. on an overnight flight. And then Turkey closed their international borders and their airport the same day that I landed. And then I was in Istanbul for 4 months.
Insane.
Yeah. But then it didn't stop. Like the whole time I was in Istanbul, I was calling all my partners, getting the corporate people ready, getting the tourism people ready, trying to raise money.
Not working. You're staying in a hotel.
Yeah, I got an Airbnb after.
How was the price of, was that an easy thing for you to do for 4 months?
Yeah. I mean, it was okay. Like I like it when I'm working.
When how's Istanbul? Is it, man, I'd love to go.
Istanbul's, it's wonderful. Yeah, I really love it. Yeah. It's a town of all cats. The cats, everyone takes care of the cats. They integrate the cats into the community. So
really?
Yeah. So like a cafe will have like a resident cat that they feed and take care of, and he'll just hang out at the cafe, and people will feed him, and he'll sit on people's laps. And you go to the park, and there's like hundreds of cats, but the government takes care of all of them. They give them rabies shots, they neuter them, and everything like that. And you can just if Istanbul, yeah, and
Istanbul,
yeah, and if you just go there and you like one of the cats, you can just pick one up and get it vaccinated and a passport, bull. And just walk away with it.
Bald bull, you know what that is?
I don't know bald bull.
Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Oh no, I don't.
From Istanbul. That's all I got.
I did play Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Bald bull, yeah, I remember it now.
Thank you.
No, you should go. Like just fly anytime you need to do something crazy internationally. Just fly Turkish Airways and just do like a few nights in between.
I would love to.
Yeah.
There's so many countries I need to visit. You've been all over. I've been a lot of Asia, plenty of Europe. But that would be amazing.
Yeah.
How's the food?
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah. I mean, it's a big city of like 35 million people, so like everyone's a bit edgy and a bit rough around the edges, but there's really beautiful.
We don't have that in America. That's weird.
No, we don't. Somehow everyone's so nice here, to Canadians at least. Yeah,
everyone's nice in Canada.
Everyone's pretty nice in Canada.
Minnesota.
Is that a thing?
They call it Minnesota nice.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been in Minnesota many times.
It's like minus 40 in the winter though.
It's really flat and really, really cold.
Yeah.
Have you seen Fargo?
Yeah, I've seen Fargo. Yeah.
So there's a town not far from there. I have an affiliate in Brainerd.
Mm-hmm.
Brainerd, Minnesota.
I've heard of Brainerd.
No.
I don't know why I've heard.
So in Fargo, they mention Brainerd.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I got.
And you had a jiu-jitsu school there?
There's a jiu-jitsu school, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Fearbin, he's amazing. He's like a wizard.
That's wonderful. Yeah. No, I like the U.S. I mean, it's been a bit of a transition coming back here, or coming here for the first time, because I've been coming to L.A. for years, but only just like 3-4 days here. I do an event or I meet some people and then I'm gone again, right? But it's been nice to like really settle in. I've been here like almost 10 months now.
So, but you can't stay in one place.
Well, I can, because my wings have kind of been clipped, because I've really, like, it's been hard getting back into the adventure travel television space after COVID, because like the budgets have really changed and the way they commission shows have really changed. So
it's across the board, but it must be even more for something like that.
Well, I did my stuff independently, right? So I figured out a long time ago.
You just sold it? You just ran around and sold it?
So what I do is I have all these corporate partners and I do all these pretty high-end speaking engagements all around the world. So I use all that money and I put it into my shows and I make them completely independent. So the shows are exactly what I want.
All control of it. Total control.
And I love it.
Are you the director then?
Producer, director, financer.
Stuntman? You need a stuntman?
I would love to do it.
Let me know. I need a stuntman. I'll rent a motorcycle or something.
Are you good on bikes?
I'm not saying I'm good, but I can ride a bike.
We'll get you up. I'll send you some links of some of the stuff I did.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'll send you some of my falls too.
You got some, let's see, you're a stunt guy.
Yeah.
Just wear pads.
Yeah, I got pads. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just everything's kind of changed and it's been really strange. And then like COVID really didn't end for the rest of the world until like mid 2022.
Right.
And then I was like, well, I'm just going to move to LA because I know I can get a visa here because I can get like an entertainer's visa because I've done so much work in the past. And I don't know anyone and I've been traveling like from 2010 to 2020. I was traveling like 250, 300 days a year. Like I was with my crew and that's it. Like I didn't know anyone. I didn't really have a lot of friends or whatever. And then when that kind of came crashing down, I bounced around a bit. And then I was like, okay, why don't I just come to LA, do a podcast, meet a whole bunch of amazing people. And then whatever the next phase of my career will be, I'll do it from here.
So, but is there a timeline where you start getting like a little edgy and starts pulling you and you're like, I got to go to Connecticut or something?
Oh, that was like 4 years ago.
So how long do you think you'll be in LA?
I like it here. I mean, it's great. I'll stay as long as I can. Like I have a 3-year visa, and I can work here if anyone wants to hire me. But you know, for most of my work, I would assume that I'll be leaving the United States to get back into the adventure space. But I really like it here. The weather's amazing. And again, like you just flew in here today. You got some meetings, you got some work, but yet I have the chance to connect with you because everyone has to come to LA at some stage.
Right.
And it's just such a great hub to meet interesting and be inspired by your story.
Everything is here.
Yeah.
Like California in general, it has everything.
Mm-hmm.
You can snowboard, you can surf, you can everything.
Yeah.
Mountain climb.
Yeah.
You can camp, you could shoot, you could hunt, you could do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, LA and the Northern California, but more LA than obviously anywhere else in the world.
It's nice. I mean, like it's nice because, you know, like when I was living in China, I would tell people what I would do and it would kind of just blow over their head. And then when I was living in Dubai, you tell people what you do and they don't understand shit because they don't make anything in Dubai. People just live there. But you come here and you talk to people and you say like, oh, I made all these television shows. I filmed on here. And people actually like really respect it because they know how hard production is.
Yep. Either they're in it or they've been chased away.
Yeah.
Or they're really in it.
Yeah.
And if you're not in it, like, I would just say, give them a break, man.
Yeah.
It's the toughest. It's the toughest thing I've ever seen. Like, it is no joke.
It is. I love it. So what I was able to do for all those years was I was able to raise money privately, make my show, and then I have an agent in London who distributes it globally. So it's on Amazon Prime and blah, blah, blah. But I don't do any of those deals because I just got so tired of talking to people and so tired of having those development conversations that I was like, actually, like, I know how to raise the money myself. I have corporate partners that like me. I give them exposure through my social media. Plus maybe I wear some stuff in the show. Everyone seems fine with that. And then it's enough money to maybe they prepay for a speaking engagement I'll do after the journey or the adventure. Right. And then I can do that. And then I just piece it all together and I get it done. Yeah. Took a while to figure it out, but I got there.
Well, if my career crashes, I'm going to give you my resume.
No, I need to. We got something
that says jiu-jitsu. You just go straight to that.
Keanu Reeves' punching bag.
Pretty much. Oh man.
No, that'd be great. Like I mean, like that's why we're here, right? Like, and that's why I wanted to do the podcast face to face. Like I refuse to do Zooms.
Yeah, no. Zoom is like it. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I want to meet people.
Zoom is when you have to do Zoom.
And I want to like actually have a real connection with someone.
Right.
You sit across from someone, you look them in the face. You're not fucking around with your phone. You got an hour and a half or two, and you really size someone up and be like, you know, you're a great person.
Right. Wow, I love it. It's great.
So that's, yeah.
And I don't meet many people that have traveled way more than me. You've traveled way more than me.
Yeah. Well, in a typical season of Extreme Treks, which we did for BBC, one year we filmed in Russia, Iceland, Laos, Papua New Guinea, Bolivia, Argentina,
insane.
Jordan, and Uganda. So that was one season, 8 episodes.
That's awesome.
You got to go to Papua New Guinea.
What's the most dangerous place you've ever been? Or when you just, maybe a situation.
Okay, so
that's unfair because anywhere can be dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, West Hollywood, Beverly Hills can be dangerous.
Yeah.
So probably it was Mount Elbrus. So we were which is in Russia. It's the highest mountain in Russia, highest mountain in Europe, if you count Russia as Europe, because Mont Blanc is kind of a bitch compared to Elbrus, but Elbrus is a proper, it's almost 6,000 meters. So it's that it's almost
snow year round.
Yeah, it's got a permanent ice cap, permanent glacier, and we came in from the west, which is like a 10-day trip, and we crossed this massive glacier. There's a lot of crevasses. That was pretty dangerous. But actually, the most dangerous thing that happened to us was we went up on an altitude day where we just went up and then came back down to our camp again just to get some altitude in and then drop back down. And while we were going up, this is the funny thing about mountains. Like you're on a mountain, but you can't see what's coming from the other side. And we didn't have radars and weather, all this shit. We were just kind of out there on our own. And what happened was like a weather system. We were kind of climbing up this side of the mountain, and a weather system came from the other side. And within like 10 minutes, we were in a thunderstorm and a hailstorm that came out of literally nowhere. Because you're like hiking and you got your ice axe and you're looking here and all you see is ice. But you look behind you, all you see is blue sky. And you're like,
so you're like,
I'm fine. Okay. Yeah.
But you can't get news that quick.
No.
It's impossible.
Yeah. So anyways, this huge storm came in. We got caught in a lightning storm. And the guides were like, take off your crampons, take off your harnesses, throw your ice axes to the ground.
Because it'll hit lightning.
And slide. And we just slid for hundreds of meters down as safely as we could because there were rocks everywhere. But we had to slide back down like maybe almost 1,000 meters. So it was like almost 3,500 feet, 4,000 feet. We had to kind of slide down back to camp. And then some poor guy had to go up and get all our shit the next morning. But it was kind of terrifying because like you could feel the static electricity everywhere. And you're just like,
oh, wow.
Where's my phone? Like, is my watch going to get hit? Like I'm just amazed none of us got hit by lightning on that day. That was by far the scariest thing I've ever been in.
Gee.
Yeah. It happens.
That's insane. See, there's different types of toughness.
Yeah.
Like you do that, but you normalize it.
Yeah.
Maybe I normalize hitting the concrete, but like you normalize risk.
I'm okay with nature killing me. I came to that conclusion a long time ago. Like I love going. I've walked across deserts. I've climbed mountains all around the world. Like that's my happy place, and I'll take whatever nature throws.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
Like I don't want anything to kill me
because you're trained to kill everything else.
I was gonna keep fighting forever.
But like you're out in the middle of a desert in Mongolia, and a sandstorm kicks up, and then you can't see shit for like 6 hours.
There's got to be it's a draw. Like it's intoxicating.
So intoxicating.
And nobody could understand you.
No one.
And they'll hear this podcast and not understand you.
100%.
And think you're crazy. And that's like, I use the word crazy like a compliment.
It is a compliment.
Like, I like crazy people.
Mm-hmm.
I surround myself with crazy people.
Yeah. That's it. If you're going to level up, that's what you got to do.
You have to. There you go.
No, I mean, because you can't get caught in this like 9 to 5, boring world where people are just going about their day jobs. Like you and I have put risk ahead of everything else. We've taken chances. We've built businesses, calculated. But I mean, like, you have to hang out with people who are kind of living on that edge, whether it's, business-wise, financially, entrepreneurially, or adventure-wise, or fighting. Like, there's people you can learn from. All of that is interdisciplinary as long as you're taking calculated risks.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's the people who live their life without taking any risk that you have to avoid like the plague, because they'll just suck you into some soft, beautiful, relaxing life.
I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I think there's a space for that.
Yeah, like when you're on holiday.
I think for them, they're content.
Oh, for them, it's
you
great.
Know what I mean, like,
yeah, not everyone's built for what we do.
No.
Yeah, and I respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you have to limit your exposure to that, or else it can kind of suck you in, because it can be quite relaxing and lovely.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Like you have to keep your edge.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say the most hardcore guys are the military guys I train with.
Yeah.
Like, not fighters. Fighters they're cool. It's amazing what they do. It is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The military guys are the mindset, just the sheer mindset.
Mm-hmm. And is that trained into them?
Well, the guys I work with, they're at such a level, so all the vetting processes have weeded out. You know what I mean?
The weak.
Not weak,
Yeah.
like tough guys, but that just aren't that level.
Mm-hmm. So you're dealing with the best of the best.
Strong and stronger, not strong and weak. It's like strong and stronger.
Yeah.
And they're just the mindset. Like, I'll give an example, verbiage. So I was, we're talking about shooting. That was the subject with one of my buddies in special operations. And he was like, I go, I wish I could shoot that good. Whatever. That was what I said, right? I made that comment. He goes, it has nothing to do with wish.
Yeah.
It's like, what's your priorities?
Mm-hmm.
And literally that just, my whole mindset shifted. Like, I either want to do it or I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't, it's not my priority.
Mm-hmm.
Wishing means nothing.
Zero.
And so they will call you out when you fumble your verbiage.
Yeah. I love that.
It's awesome.
I think there should be
years of that.
I think there should be people like that all around the streets of LA. Just if they overhear someone like whinging or being a bit of a bitch or complaining about something, they're just fucking on you.
But then they'll get recorded and they're the bad guy. Because I would never call someone out like that. I would just be like, because I get into this weird matrix of, I'm not perfect. Oh yeah, but you're right. When I hear something like, I'm trying to think of an example, but just the way people use their words and the way, if you want to go after it, like, you have to get crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like simple things. My son's trying to blow his nose. And I'm like, you got to get mad because he's doing a half job. It's just popped in my head. It was the other night. I have an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
So it's like,
toughen up, man.
You got to get mad at that.
Yeah.
And because you have a problem, solve it. Don't half solve it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't show up at 8:30 when your job starts at 7. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but I'm still here. I'm ready to work. No, you weren't here in prep and ready to go. And I don't know if that makes sense, but
it makes sense, like, perfectly to me.
To get that job done. Go after it.
What was the point in your life or your career where you became the most disciplined you've been? Because the person who you are sitting in front of me right now, completely disciplined, complete professional, right? But do you remember what was it? The trips to Japan that really trained you? Because for me, it was fucking waking up at 6 a.m., going to school, playing on one basketball team, then going to class all day, then coming home, then going out again at 7 for evening training on another basketball team, because in Canada you can play on more than one team. You can't here in the US, but I was playing on 2 different teams, my school team and a rep team. And I did that for 4 years.
Mm.
And I was playing 5 to 6 hours a day of basketball, plus weight training, plus school, plus homework, plus trying to have a normal life. And whatever that was from 12 to 17 or 18, I can absolutely identify that discipline that I learned in those years has carried right through.
I'm so analytical, I have trouble with just discipline. It's also inspiration. And I know you listen to Jocko talk about this or Joe Rogan, and they're just no, it's discipline. And I'm like, the times I was most disciplined is when I was inspired.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're absolutely hand in hand. Like I talked about, who am I surrounding myself with? If I'm surrounding myself with people that inspire me, then I'm
in it.
I mean, like I said, John Wick was the most disciplined, thing I've ever done. Because when I started, I was in the parking lot at 5 a.m. before the sun would go up with another stunt guy because I had to train Keanu in December, and here it is, end of September.
Mm-hmm.
I had to train Keanu at something he's better than I am at, right? Going back to that. So I'm like, okay, I moved here. I'm going to be in the parking lot. First one. It's now I think a game people play, who's going to be in the parking lot first. Well, back then it was me. And I'm there at 5 a.m. and Makaya, another stunt guy, I think he's going to direct soon. Super good dude, but he was my partner, flow partner for Aikido and coming up with stuff. And I had to learn Aikido with him. So we were just doing drills. Nobody got there till at that time, 6:30, maybe 7.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'd start our day. Then we'd do 6 hours. Already did 2 hours. that's the kind of person I need next to me to be my most disciplined. And I think like, then we talk about like, well, see, I have trouble sometimes with my head. Like I'm writing now. I just finished a course, John York. I don't know if you know who that is. Recommended by Kenny Sheard, who is a former Navy SEAL. He's a writer too. He wrote for the SEAL teams. Befriended him on set at a movie. Again, movies, I like to do it. It's like a hobby now. It's not my job, but you meet interesting people, and that will direct you to do certain things. And he got me onto this course. I'm writing this course, and I'm like going back and forth. I want to write a script. That's my goal. But at the same time, it's like, I think we have discipline, we have inspiration, but we also have structure of your day. I think the most important thing is structure of your day. It's just like, what am I doing at 8 o'clock? What am I doing at 9 o'clock? What am I doing at 10 o'clock? And all the people that are extremely successful that I've been surrounded by are extremely structured with their day, and they automate certain things so they're not distractions, including like there should be time for family. There should be time for families not right next to me. I can't work when family's right next to you. That's a distraction, right? So I think those three things, that would be a triangle of success. Like, it's not just discipline. Like, I can be most disciplined when I'm inspired by next to people that are on the same level, and at the same time when I'm like structured with my time. So when I left for John Wick, it sounds crazy, but like no family. I was alone. Like, I was the most alone I've ever been in my life, and I really felt it. My dog died when I was overseas, like when I was in Germany.
That's right.
And that was tough. It was tough, but because I was so alone, and all I had was my work. But that's how a lot of people get things done.
Yeah.
You have to like push aside these things that want to pull you in, or make time for them, but structure your day.
Yeah. No, I mean, you look at all these high functioning, entrepreneurs and stuff like that. They all say the same thing. Like, especially when they're in their early stages of getting their businesses up and running, or perfecting a craft. I mean, you really do have to push people out of your life for a time being to get shit done.
And those people don't understand. They'll complain like, oh, well, oh, he's crazy. He's Mr. Successful, or he's doing. And it's like, well, I sacrifice. I remember Chad again took me aside. He's like, it's not how hard you work or this and that. It's literally, what are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to remove from your life to be wherever you want to be? Whole different way of looking at it. And I think that, and then he gave me a book. It was Hemingway, the Old Man and the Sea.
Oh, that's the best.
I mean, you understand why. I've read it twice. And I give that out to some of my team, and I'm like, ideally everyone's on the same page. You can read it in one sitting, but in Maverick, John Wick, I'm going all over the place. Top Gun Maverick, he says it's not discipline. It's like, this is not who I want to be. This is who I am. Like, I don't want to be anything else. That's Old Man in the Sea. Like, he died doing, like, you know what I mean? But then you have family, you have all these other things. So I think the best people in the world are everything. They just structure their day accordingly.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of like hyper efficiency.
And then when I feel weird, I just get this angry, old school 80s attitude of F off. And I literally say F off. So if I need motivation, that's my motivation.
Where do you go when you feel like you're freaking out and you've had like too much downtime or too much time in the city?
New York City.
Yeah.
I just got back. I love it. Is that what you mean? Like, or is there a space in my house or
just like, well, for me, like, my happy place is nature, right? So like, if I'm in LA too, like last week I was out in Wyoming climbing, I needed like to release my brain and get out of the city and just be with nature. And it just completely kind of levels me out.
I think, my favorite thing is with my family.
Okay.
And that's changed. Like, that wasn't always that way. Like, I think after John Wick, I'll be honest, like, I loved my family before John Wick. After John Wick, I really loved my family, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're away for 14 months?
Yeah. And so, and I'm really interested in what my son's doing, and I teach him jiu-jitsu, and that's one of my favorite things, is to be with my wife and my son and watching Supernatural or whatever. I don't know if you watch that. It's so good.
I mean, is any of your dad coming out in your parenting with your son?
No,
I mean, the whole sneezing and the blowing your nose thing made me think.
no, man, I'm very different than my dad with my son. My dad was so hardcore. You know what I mean?
You're pretty hardcore also. I don't know if you're a hardcore parent.
I don't think I'd be doing what I was doing if my dad wasn't hardcore. Like, I don't know if you don't have some kind of like PTSD, like how do you handle extreme environments?
Yeah.
I mean, what we're doing for our son is just constant struggle, but I'm not putting that
pressure.
It's different. It's not the 80s.
No, it's not the 80s.
Yeah, they're like, oh, probably go to prison. You know?
Yeah. No, I got slapped around quite.
But yeah, there's residue. You could go overboard and ruin someone.
Yeah.
And so I don't really put a lot of pressure on him, to be honest. It's just the things I expect. My wife, the things she expects for him, he knows.
Yeah.
Like if he's not doing what he needs to be doing, I'd be like, hey man, what should you be doing right now? And I say it just like that. And he goes, okay, ba. In Mandarin, ba is father.
Yeah.
Okay, ba. And he does it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this kid adopted or like where did he come from?
It's good you can call him out and he'll get shit done though.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. Sometimes you call people out and they're just like, fuck you. Or they're just
extremely well behaved. I don't know. Like my wife is so good with him.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Well, he's picking up a lot of great things while you're away.
Yeah, must be. I mean, it's not me.
No.
I'm not high-fiving myself on this one.
I mean, what do you got coming up? I mean, what's kind of coming up in the next couple months? You got any more movies? You got more military training?
There's always military training. I don't do a whole lot of it. I don't do as much as I used to, but I supply role players, and we have a blast. It's so fun.
Where do you do that, if you don't mind me asking?
Somewhere in the United States.
Somewhere in the continental United States.
Yeah.
Lower 48, I'm guessing?
Something like that. So we do that, and then, yeah, I think I do want to jump on a movie where I can actually relive a portion of what I did on Wick for, like, to kind of leave it. Because you can't hit the concrete. I can't hit the concrete like that much longer. I want to do that. I'm continuing to write. My goal is to finish my script, which is you're going to write and rewrite. You know, I learned the structure. I kind of want to like get the story right, have people review it. That's a goal of mine, is maybe for the first time is getting paid for something outside of fighting kind of thing.
Yeah, diversifying your income and stuff like that is going to be crucial because, like, you and I are both we're getting older every day. Yeah. So, like, I mean, how much longer can you fight? How much longer can I climb mountains?
Well, I just have that anxiety of, like, everything's going really good in my career. It's time to, like, go in a different direction.
Yeah.
Meaning just prepare for, because that's what happened with COVID. Like, my academy was gone. I had already prepared on the back end maybe to get hired. You know what I mean? I got hired. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but I did so much work that I wasn't getting paid for. I was showing up to LA and training with 8711 Stunt Gym because it was fun. No aspirations of ever doing stunts. Next thing you know, I'm getting killed by John Wick. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I feel like I earned my spot because I fought for my job every single day. You know what I mean? And if I don't have that attitude, I shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Like, every single day I showed up to work, I fought for my job. If I got fired, you would have to drag me away. Like, that. This is the mentality going into that. I remember after my stair fall, I couldn't even walk.
Yeah. I
was limping to the car because 6:30 in the morning, sun's coming up. I'm getting my stuff off, and I have to go, through traffic to go back to we work nights. So it's 7 in the morning by the time I get there. My wife's there. I shower.
Did you go to the hospital maybe?
I could barely walk. Yeah, but so both legs were thrashed on that stair fall. I slid out and almost ruptured my Achilles.
Yeah.
Because I slid out, and then I hit my head, and then I tweaked my ankle. Pretty good, pretty decent. My buddy gave me Bruce. That's the guy, Bruce Concepcion. Him and Vincent were like the best stunt guys on the show. But anyway, he gave me I think it was a rash guard, or not a rash guard, a shin guard, like a soccer shin guard, but I turned it on my ankle. So, because my ankles are hitting, he made a note. He's like, when you do this in rehearsal, your foot's hitting the ground. So Luckily, he did that because it would have broke my foot. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't walk, took a shower, got in bed, slept 3 hours. My wife was getting up. She's like, let's go.
Let's go explore Paris.
Sleep. I'm like, okay, because I know if I lay here, it's just going to feel worse.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not laying here. I'm going to walk around. We walked around Paris. I wrapped it in tape to where I could barely move it. I had to hit the concrete that night. But I walked around Paris, got the blood flowing. The exact opposite of what a doctor would tell you, right?
Yeah.
And I know that.
Stay in bed, elevated ice.
So I hit the concrete that night. In 48 hours, I was 100%.
Really?
I was talking to another stunt guy, Adam Lytle. And he was I think he was on extraction. But anyway, these are long runs.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
with Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hardcore. That's hardcore. And we were talking about being in it and we miss it and all that. Can't wait to get back in it and all that. And we're talking about like getting banged up. He's like, you're invincible when you're on a long run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I only have one long run to speak of, but like I felt invincible. Like I went from barely walking to like 30 hours later, no problem.
That's wild.
To 24 hours later, hitting the concrete again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still performing because you don't say no, Chad. Like I got to go out and hit the concrete. Okay, we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no like, if I could explain stunts and my experience with it, that's it right there.
I mean, what are you wearing underneath your street clothes when you're rolling down the stairs in John Wick 4?
It depends. So on the stair fall, I had to wear hards. So normally, if I'm just going to hit the concrete, I have a jacket. I had to piece this together. No one was telling me to do it. I just started buying stuff on the day or during the... Anyway, I put a jacket on. They're called softs. It's all gel in the main areas.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all gel. And then you put pants on. So you're gelled up and it's slick. So it like, you don't, when you put your, I almost said costume, your wardrobe.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not too puffy.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it looks silly. Because you do a wide shot, you see a puffy guy who's got all this.
Yeah, you look.
So your pads got to like fit right.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, you got to take them off. You got to do it with less pads. The only thing I had hard was back protector. If I hit a concrete, that's what I'm wearing. And then I'll wear little things here with,
Hip,
ankle and this, that.
Yeah.
But then when I did the stair fall, I had to put hards on top of that, like Dainese, like motorcycle stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd put hards on elbows and hards on knees. And that's about it.
Wow. Nothing on your head, obviously, because that's on camera.
Yeah, and I'm hitting my head. So, fuck, it was awesome. It was so awesome. I love it. That was the best night of my career.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Smacking your head on the stairs.
Yeah.
Making Chad and Keanu look awesome.
Chad looked at me, he's like, and there's no compliments.
Mm-hmm.
He looked at me, I barely get up the ninth take, and he goes, you did good today. And he walks away.
Yeah. No fist bump?
I was like, no, there's no time.
Yeah. No time for fist bumps.
No time.
Oh, man. I mean, do you think you could do another like long run like that?
Yeah. But probably only one more.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what about...
It's not... It gets to a point where it's like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah. Like,
I have a career now, and I got to be very careful. If I get hurt, I'm not teaching as much.
Mm-hmm. What about being like a stunt coordinator?
Protected me. Yeah. There's that pipeline.
Yeah.
But even then, it's brutal.
Yeah.
You don't know when your next job's coming from. You know what I mean? Like climbing that ladder's tough.
Yeah.
I have a good career right now. I have a very good, stable life, and that's that drug that I just want to get back to one more time.
Yeah. How do you shake it up one last time?
We'll see.
And then another one last time.
We'll see.
And then another one last.
I just keep growing my hair out and see if I get hired.
That's epic, man. Fuck, what a story.
Yeah, crazy. You too, man. Jeez.
Do you ever miss like fighting competitively?
No.
No.
Performing has replaced that.
Yeah.
Like I retired early from competition. Relatively. Like I was young,
mm-hmm.
and I just got tired of it.
What made you tired of the competitions?
If I was preparing for a competition, you would not like me.
Just ugly?
I was an ugly person. I would hurt people.
Do you need to get that ugly to be competitive at that level, or was that just
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, you gotta grow up, you know what I mean? Like, I was like 25, and I'm like, I don't like this stress.
Yeah.
But I never stopped training. Like, then I became a coach.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is fine. But then there's a void, and you don't know it's there.
Yeah.
Like you stop competition, you're training, but there's still a void.
Yeah, because you're not competing. And
Being in the corner,
the energy level is different.
same.
Yeah.
So then when I went to John Wick, that's when I'm like, okay, this is the void. This is what I've been missing.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing like performing.
There's nothing better than live performance.
It's insane. When you're on a long run, see, it's the same as probably very similar as a stunt guy. That's a long run for you. You're in it.
Mm-hmm.
You hate and love at the same time. Is that right?
Absolutely. And you fucking miss it when it's gone.
Yep.
Yeah. But one thing I've gotten into a lot of is speaking, right? And I love it. Some Fortune 500 company pays you to go to Vegas for their annual conference, and you stand up in front of a couple hundred people and you tell them all your war stories, and you got pictures and video up top, and then afterwards, everyone wants to have a drink with you. I fucking love it. Like,
that's great.
It makes you feel like almost like you're a stand-up comedian, right? Because you pepper in a lot of jokes.
You're evolving.
Yeah.
I tried that once. It's terrible.
No, you're not.
Yeah, it's like, unless you really want to hear what I have to say, I'm not. I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
But that's great. So you think part of your experiences has helped you talk in front of people like that?
Absolutely. So when I went to China in 2001, the first thing I started doing was traveling around the country. And so there's kind of like a hierarchy, or at least there was back in the day when you wanted to like work for big newspapers and magazines. So first I had to start locally. So I would work for some English language newspapers and magazines in China, which they had for all the expats and foreigners living there. At that time, there was more than now. And then I kind of graduated and I started working for newspapers and magazines in like Hong Kong and Singapore. And then eventually like airline magazines. Back in the day, airline magazines were great. They were huge and thick, and they had and I was really well paying. And then I got into like real journalism with the New York Times, Time Newsweek, Forbes and Fortune. So I was traveling and I didn't leave China. Like I was like the China expert or the China guy. So eventually, this was like maybe 2 or 3 years into it, like 2003 or 4 or 5, I called up my old university and I said, hey, like I got in touch with my old professor who taught Introduction to Modern China, which is a class I took, which set me on this journey. And I was like, hey, Professor Falkenheim, like I was in your class a couple of years ago. You might not remember me. There was like 100 people in the class. But I've been living in China as a journalist, writing and doing photography for the last few years. I would love to come in to the class and talk about what I see in China on a daily basis and how it's changing and growing and developing. And I've got pictures and stories to show it. And he's like, absolutely. So that really got me into it. Like that was my first speaking engagement, was standing in front of a bunch of like 20-year-olds. And I was only like 24 and telling them like what China was like today. Because that course and all courses, it's kind of like a historical viewpoint, right? You need to have people come in who are actually like boots on the ground, who know what's really going on. So I had started doing that like twice a year. And I would come in because I had to go to New York once a year and like meet all the magazines and editors and stuff like that. It was part of what you had to do back in the day. But then I would stop off in Toronto and do that talk at the University of Toronto, and I loved it. And then it started, and then it became more, and then it became more.
You're a public speaker.
Yeah, for sure. I'm totally comfortable up top, like on a stage.
What's your best story that you tell people that people just love?
It really depends. Like some people really get into when I talk about what it means to like work with a small team in a really stressful environment. So like my 2 cameramen, Chad and Jesse, and Daniel, who's been working with me off and on. So like the 4 of us, the 3 cameramen and me, we would go off and do crazy shit in amazing places. So managing their emotions, their expectations, the challenges that we're going to go through. Like a lot of people love that, like, that management style of working in those.
They draw parallels to their life.
Yeah. But then some people just like, hearing about what it's like trying to shit on the side of a mountain at 22,000 feet in a snowstorm.
Sure.
And that's tough.
That's the spectrum and everything in between.
That's the spectrum. You know how hard it is to squat at 22,000 feet?
No, I don't.
It's mind-numbing, literally. But yeah, and people love the motorcycle stuff because a lot of people ride bikes, but they don't really like get out into the wild. So like the motorcycle trip we did around China, that was 64 days, like about 14,000 miles. And we set a Guinness World Record for that one, made a TV show. And so like the stories that come back out of the motorcycle trips are kind of
that's crazy
ones that people like the most.
And it's the BMW is your...
Off and on, they've shown me love from time to time, but not these days. But
okay, end of the world, or if you did another like 60-day run like that, what would the vehicle be?
so I feel super comfortable on a BMW, although like, it's fair to say like Ducati, Suzuki, Yamaha, like, even Harley Davidson have a new dual sport now. Like all these bikes are great. And for me, I love the BMW because I know it best because I've spent the most amount of days or hours on it. So I feel most comfortable on it, but it's by far not the best bike. Like there's lots of great bikes. And I'm always, I think my greatest adventure was probably in India when my brother and we got these Royal Enfields. So we got these Thunderbird 350 cc's because they didn't have BMW bikes in India. And actually the Thunderbird was great because it's slow as shit, but in India, you don't want to go fast. So not being able to go fast is the way to stay alive.
You might hit one of the bulls that are
the bulls, the cows, the buses.
Middle of the road, yeah. I walked down the street in Delhi.
Yeah.
I looked right, I looked left, and there's a huge bull right on the corner. And I'm like, okay, we're going right because I'm not going that way.
No.
What are they? When I say bull, you know what I'm talking about.
They're big cows,
Massive.
male cows.
Massive.
Yeah. And they're holy, so you can't touch them.
Right.
Yeah. And they walk across the highways and shit like that.
Anywhere they want.
Yeah. So India is an incredibly dangerous place to travel by road the way we did for as long as we did. And, but I love the Enfield.
Motorcycle, yeah.
Yeah.
And the way they drive.
Well, they push you off the road, right? So in India, it's very strange, but the bus drivers get a bonus if they finish their route ahead of schedule. So they just drive like absolute maniacs.
Great for them, terrible for you.
Yeah. So what happens is like if you're, how do you do this? If you're kind of riding behind a bus and a car is behind you, another bus can come in around the car behind you and just ride you right off the road to take the spot behind. They'll just assume that you're not a vehicle and they'll just try to push you off the road, which is fucking terrifying.
And of course, just get out of their way.
Well, but then you can't, right? Because you've got a car behind you, you've got a bus in front of you. So normally when you're on a motorcycle, the great escape of all motorcycles is acceleration. So that's why motorcycles are pretty safe, actually, if you know what you're doing, because you can pretty much accelerate out of any danger. But on an Enfield, you can't because it's shit slow. And then you got a bus in front and a car behind, and then you got this bus just pushing you off the road slowly. So you just got to like pop on the fucking hazard lights and start slowing down. And hopefully the car behind you gives you some space because this bus is not letting up.
Have you seen, are you a Wes Anderson?
I love Wes Anderson.
Yeah, best.
Yeah. The Darjeeling Express. Yeah.
So I watched it over and over again.
I love Adrian Brody. Like once he did The Pianist, like I just fell in love with him. And
he was in Midnight in Paris.
That was great too, wasn't it?
So good.
Yeah. He played Dali, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember who played Hemingway?
No, I'm not going to remember. I in my head, I can picture him.
Yeah. So fucking good.
They had him like the script was like very much like he writes. I thought it was funny.
Yeah. Completely. Like, okay, this is going to be super controversial and it'll probably get me canceled.
Okay, cool.
But the thing that COVID killed that I miss the most is Woody Allen movies.
I think he's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's great.
But he hasn't made a movie since before COVID. He went on a streak.
Still making movies?
I think he's like pseudo retired now because of like he went 40 years straight making a movie every year before COVID.
That one in New York, a story of New York, or a story in New York, with the Dune kid. I call him kid.
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great movie.
I haven't seen that.
And then I saw one of his first, and I'm like, it's the dialogue. Like, I'm really in a story now. So I'm like, I'm big in the 70s. I went all the way to the 60s and saw these samurai movies, Throne of Blood, Macbeth story, but so good. Yeah.
47 Ronin is one of my favorite movies, and it got panned with Keanu when he filmed the thing in Japan.
Right. I never saw it. Dang it.
Beautiful. But so there's a great 2 hour, 2 or 4 hours. There's a great 2-part documentary on the BBC all about Woody Allen and his early days as a stand-up comedian.
I don't know much about him. He's a good actor too. Like, that guy can act.
Yeah, I mean, his personal issues apart and all this other shit that happened in his life and whatever.
I don't even know much about it.
Yeah, well, that's why it kind of got canceled. But
okay.
The documentary is fucking brilliant. So if you love writing and you love story, you got to read it. Yeah,
that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to study. Like, can you do your top 3 movies? Can you do that? Is that possible?
No,
it's impossible, huh? All right, I'll try.
Yeah, I think John Wick 1 is up there. John Wick 1
but 4 is better. But anyway, Slightly.
You still got the bruises to prove it.
Oh man, I can walk pretty good.
You look great coming in.
Yeah. Well, I'm like shaking from afar. I look like I have good posture.
Yeah. Okay, your top 3.
Again, it's impossible, but Apocalypse Now, Lawrence of Arabia, John Carpenter's The Thing.
Wow,
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. They interchange here and there, but right now,
That's it.
that's it.
For me, I love Usual Suspects. I'm a
movie.
I'm a huge Kevin Spacey fan. Obviously, he got canceled as well, but I mean, like what he did with House of Cards, but that whole Kaiser Sose thing,
Amazing.
where he's like picking all the words off the bulletin board behind him, and then he just walks out, lights a cigarette, gets in the car, and he is Kaiser Sose.
Yeah.
Best fucking ending
Yep.
any movie
Yep.
ever.
Blew my mind. Recently saw Sicario. Similar.
Oh, first one or the second one?
First one. Don't tell me about the second one. I haven't seen it.
First one is incredible. I mean,
It's incredible.
Josh Brolin is a badass.
Blew my mind.
Yeah,
They're making Goonies too.
with Brolin because he was in that when he was a kid.
Has to be.
Yeah. But Sicario 2 is incredible as well. It's
All right. I heard it's a different.
totally different. Same cast, but and they're playing the same people,
Just how far he went, and he didn't care. Like it just blew my mind.
but yeah,
And he was like a mystery character.
pseudo CIA, walking around with his shoes off. Absolute beast. If you had a dream scenario, what would be the next movie you worked on?
Dream scenario?
Yeah, I mean, what director or what actor?
You mean
Or what-
outside of what I've done?
Yeah, outside of what you've done.
I mean, of course, it's Pulp Fiction. What's his name? Tarantino. Just yeah, that or Star Wars. But I mean, Tarantino.
Did you like Brad Pitt?
Only because even if I just took one little fall,
Mhm.
but to be a part of someone that amazing,
Mhm.
or a Wes Anderson.
Oh.
Because almost every movie has a stunt at least.
Yeah, but like I'm talking like real stunts versus like Wes Anderson stunts.
Chad, like the only like
He's really in his own zone. They're the best action movies out there right now.
I did I was on Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was on for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So I wasn't core team. I wasn't. But like we shoot during the day.
Mhm.
We're in a studio. Everyone's happy.
Mhm.
It's like the antithesis of what I was used to.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm ready to go back in. They're like, no, we did your part, and I'm literally warming up in the back, and they're like, calm down.
Yeah.
Whereas like on Wick, like you want to go, you want to. But in terms of action, that's the thing. Like that's all I know.
Yeah.
Really,
Well, it's a great genre because that's what this town was made of, right?
action.
Yeah. I mean, like this town wouldn't be anywhere without the '80s and Schwarzenegger and Stallone
Absolutely.
and Jim Cameron.
Yeah.
True Lies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love this. This town's awesome.
It really is. I mean, if you like movies and if you want to be a part of it, there's nowhere else to be. I mean, whether you live here or whether you live in Montana or Wyoming and you fly in and do the work. I mean, that's the dream, right? Is where you can
Yeah.
get to the point where you don't have to actually live in downtown.
I literally have a dream. Like the city I live in, it's just amazing weather.
Mhm.
I love what I do, and I get to come to LA for work here and there. It's perfect.
That sounds really nice.
Spoiled.
Sounds like
We're
it.
spoiled.
Yeah, I think if you get to see the world and you get to hang out in places like this, you're a bit spoiled.
But we earned it. You earned it.
You've earned it. I've got
You've earned it.
just a shattering of broken relationships behind me as I travel 300 days a year.
That's what I said when I earned it.
Yeah, you've got bullet holes in you. I've got broken relationships.
We all have bullet holes, just figuratively, maybe.
Okay, so look, I mean, you want to write, you want to direct, like you want to kind of move on from the stunt world because you're getting maybe a little bit older. Like, where do you really see yourself in 10 years in this space?
Well, the first goal is to sell a script.
Mhm.
Yeah, I want to do that. It's tough.
It is.
That's a tough business.
Yeah.
Writing a story that somebody cares about, and then that somebody will fund,
That's the
especially in this space, like that's tough.
Yeah.
So that's my first goal. And then, do I want to direct it or do I want to? I don't know. I think I I'm not a director. So it's like there's so much I have to learn. I think I'm not really focused on that. I'm focused on like I need a better writer. Like I'm reading a ton, I'm watching a ton of movies. I'm writing. I just need to get better at that.
Are you hanging out with any writers?
No.
I've had a lot of great writers on the podcast. I'd be happy to introduce you to a few of them.
That'd be great.
Some of them are in Santa Monica. Some of them are here in Beverly Hills.
Absolutely, give me a list. That'd be awesome.
I'll write and introduce you and just be like, guys, this guy's amazing. Like, just catch up with him. You guys can read each other's style. Like, everyone's always looking for some feedback. No one wants to work in a total vacuum.
Sure.
And I think it'd be a lot of fun because, especially Paul, who I recently had on the podcast. Like he is writing feature films. Independent ones. He's done some stuff for some studios. He's come in to fix some scripts as well. Like,
right.
This is the world, right? Sometimes you don't get your script taken, but sometimes they bring you in to advise or fix something, or someone else quits.
Right.
There's ways of kind of getting your foot in the door. But it's a wild world. Like, and I did a podcast the other day with another writer who's doing graphic novels. So he loves like the Marvel universe.
Yeah, I could learn from all those guys. That was just amazing.
Yeah. They're super pros. I'll send you the links to the podcast interviews too. They're a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I just love chatting with people who are doing something they really fucking care about.
Right.
Yeah. Like, if you came in here and it's like, oh man, working on John Wick 4 was shit, and like it was 9 to 5, and yeah, I'm really looking to do something else, but and then it's like, where does it go?
Dude, I still shake sometimes. I'm like, man, I have dreams sometimes. I'm like,
you're in it?
Yeah, man.
That's pure PTSD, though.
People joke. They're like, oh, were you on John Wick 4? That's like, because I like talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. To me, it's amazing. It's awesome.
I wonder what's going to be the next. I mean, as these great stars are aging out, like you got Keanu, who's in his late 50s. You got Tom Cruise, who's 60. Yeah. And Brad Pitt, although he was never much of a stunt guy, but you've got all these like absolutely
he's coming up. Like he's a young guy, I think.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's like ready to do his own stunts.
No.
No.
But even like, and again, it's my own ignorance, but like name two guys that do their own stunts. Honestly, Tom Cruise is the only one that does, really.
Really, yeah.
Talk about stunts.
Yeah.
And that's because Keanu talked about this. Like, Keanu doesn't just stunts, he does fights.
Mm-hmm.
That's not stunts.
No. But at least he's fighting.
And I think everybody's fighting. And if you saw the way he trains and how hard he prepares for it, and he does his own driving, he's on that horse. Like, I've seen all the prep.
Mm-hmm.
There was in the movie where he's like grabbing that gun.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you call it? Sliding, whatever, grabbing the gun. And then he did that on set. I was right there when he did it.
Yeah. It's fucking epic.
It's incredible. Tom Cruise, though, is crazy. Like that's another level of, but he's not so intricate on the choreography.
Mm-hmm. And the choreography for the Mission Impossible stuff is not anywhere near where John Wick is.
It's not. It's good,
yeah.
Right?
It's amazing, but it's just a different movie.
But Chad revolutionized choreography.
He did.
And Previs. He was the first to do Previs, which is basically like shoot the action, low budget kind of, so the director can keep track of where we're at to get ahead of it, And so all of his guys are the best in the world. Like 8711 is probably the top team. Name a really good action movie. There's probably an 8711 guy in there.
Probably, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And 8711 is here in LA?
Yeah. It's it's outside of South Bay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That'd be good. Yeah, it'd be good to. I really love this space, and I really want to chat with I love just chatting with people like you guys, because you guys are just totally fucking wired differently, and I'm wired differently too, but in a totally different way. So I kind of have a lot of respect.
Different but same.
It is a little the same, but I can't hit things or people.
No, it's okay. You slide down mountains trying to avoid the electricity.
I still chase the same rush.
We say mountains like cliffs.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. But we're
like people think I'm cool. I choke people. I do this and that. There's guys that surf with sharks or whatever. You know what I mean?
I choke people.
Like, if I'm doing jiu-jitsu, there's a very tiny chance of anything happening.
Mm-hmm.
But man, do you surf?
I don't surf. I don't like the water.
No.
The water terrifies me.
No, terrifies me.
I have no idea what's under the water.
Terrible.
Yeah. And when you're like, I have surfed before, when you're out there surfing and things are touching your leg and rubbing up against you and stuff like that.
I surfed Palos Verdes. There's kelp.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that better be kelp.
Or else.
because I can't see it.
I just would hate to be one of those guys that loses a leg or an arm from a fucking
Just bite
shark.
my head off.
Yeah.
I don't want to suffer through it. That's so scary.
It really is. Like, that's the one.
Jaws, another perfect film.
Yeah.
Casting, script, so the writing, the shots.
Mhm.
So good.
Not bad. Not bad. Well, look, I wish you the best of luck in whatever else you want to get up to in this space. Like, obviously, hope you can get on another couple films and scratch that itch. And then it's really exciting to see where you go with the writing and stuff like that.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for opening your world to me, man. Like, and what you do, it's like brilliant. I appreciate it. That's awesome.
Beyond just the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, like you're a grinder. We're grinders.
You got to be. You got to be. Look, like the world shines on you for a little while, and then and then you got to be able to come back, right? Like you just got to. It doesn't matter. You just got to keep going.
You got to evolve.
Yeah. I'm excited to see how you evolve and what the next, where you see yourself moving.
I'll send you a photo
Of what?
of concrete. You'll know I just hit the concrete.
And the bruise and the cut.
And then I'll get with your buddies. Yeah, I mean it's like you said, who you surround yourself with.
No, I mean,
Level up.
if you want to write, you got to level up with writers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Like they are willing to talk about what they're working on, and they're always looking for people to read, and they love it when people who aren't writers read their stuff or who are not as experienced, because you come in with all these different ideas and things like that. So I think it could be great. And
Awesome.
and if this is where you want to go, then you got to call out all the stops.
Much healthier lifestyle than hitting the concrete.
Yeah, but you'll still be training and you'll still be jacked and you'll still be, teaching your kid how to fucking.
Oh, I'm trying to evolve like you. You talk to people and then you have drinks with them.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Do you like whiskey?
Yeah. Japanese whiskey.
Single malt Scottish whiskey?
Sure. My favorite's Hibiki.
Hibiki?
Have you had Hibiki?
Yeah, I've had Hibiki.
Have you had Hibiki 17?
No.
21?
No, I think I had, I probably had the cheapest version.
I had the 20. I had both 17 and 21.
Yeah.
They're all good.
Yeah. Well, let's get a drink.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, hold on. Just before we go, here, top corner, just to show people we're in the same fucking room. No Zooms.
Yep.
You're looking great.
Hey,
Wonderful to meet you.
Great to meet you, man.
Let's
Meet you.
have a whiskey.
Let's do it. I'm excited.
All right. Fade to black, and we're out.